Hi, good morning. Ross here. So, as promised, today I will share with you the second part of our lesson, okay, which is ultimately one of my best ever setups that I like about price action is trading inside bar setups. Okay, so going to the theory and going to the theory and then go to the practical and then share with you at the chart about how you can apply this into your trading. But the most important aspect of inside bar trading, I mean taking inside bar setups or whatever setup that you take, I think it's important that you have to practice and back test it. Okay, the most important aspect of trading is really practice, because trading is a practical market. That means you have to get your hands dirty. Okay, so let's just move on with this. Okay, so to trade inside bar set, I mean one of the reasons that I like to trade inside bar is because of the risk reward. Okay, the risk reward for inside bar is great. Okay, it's really great. Later we will see on the charts, right? And I share you guys what I meant by this. Okay, so the most important aspect when you look at the inside bar, right? What is it? First, you have to define what is an inside bar. You have to know how it looks like. Okay, in terms of the candle, you are using candlestick trading. You have to know when you see this formation forming in your charts, that means we have an inside bar. But knowing what it is, okay, knowing how it looks like is not enough. You have to know why does an inside bar form. Okay, you have to know why the inside bar form. Okay, so the definition of the inside bar first and foremost is there must be two candle formation. Okay, must be two candle. One is the mother bar, and then when the second candles form and does not close within the high and low of the previous candle, which means right now this two is an inside bar. Okay, this two is an inside bar. And what happens when an inside bar is formed? Okay, when an inside bar is formed, it indicates indecision by the market. Okay, and market stalling after a trending move. More often that when you see an inside bar, right, there is always a trending move before the inside bar is formed. So before I continue explaining this, right, let's just stop here and I show you in the charts about this. I'm going to explain to you first how the inside bar looks like in your actual charts, and what happens when the inside bar is formed. As I said, is a market is always stalling after a trending move. So let's go to the charts. Okay, let's just say, okay, this is U and ZD. Okay, first of all, it's also worth noting that inside bar works best. Okay, inside bar works best in higher time frame. The higher you go, the better is the inside bar reliability. So for instance, right, I'm not really expecting you guys to really look at the monthly. Okay, like for instance, assuming, right, the monthly is better than the weekly is better than the daily, and the H4 is better than the daily, and in terms of the difference is the risk reward. Okay, the risk reward. So this one is higher, this one lower, and all that. Okay, you get the picture. Okay, so that's it. So let's identify what is the inside bar first. Okay, so first let's go and see whether can we see an inside bar from here. Okay, in this case, alright, like for instance, see, right, okay, from here I'm going to give you an example. There's a long big downtrend here, right? In this how do we identify that it's a downtrend? Okay, this up move, this down move, this up move, and this down move. Okay, so if you look at any of this down move, right, there is an inside bar. Okay, we can see first of all. Okay, let me just zoom in. Okay, from here we can see one inside bar here. You can see, okay? Can zoom in, okay, zoom in on that. Okay, you can see this inside bar here. Alright, this inside bar, this is the mother bar, and this is the inside bar. Okay, and then after that, okay, so when the inside bar happens, right, it indicates indecision. So the most important aspect when you see an inside bar, you need to ask yourself what is the trend before it. Previously, before this inside bar is formed, the trend is uptrend, right? You can see that very clearly. Trend is uptrend when this inside bar is formed. Okay, you can see here uptrend and the inside bar is formed. So that is the first and foremost important thing that you need to know. Okay, so we know that. So what happens, which I will explain later, is that after the inside bar is formed, right, there are two things that can happen. One, a continuation towards the upside, or a reversal towards the downside. That one is one thing. And for sure, alright, the one thing that I like about inside bar is it will escape out of the mother bar. Okay, and in this case, right, in this kind of inside bar setups, right, the best thing to take inside bar setup, so as I said, you must define the process first, so you know that it's an uptrend. So in this case, right, you want to be standby to see whether can you go take a sell or buy. If you take a buy, it's a continuation. If you take a sell, it's a reversal. Alright, and there are a lot of school of thoughts for this. Like for instance, when price goes up and up and up, right, it's always more lucrative in terms of risk and reward to look for a sell rather than a buy. Okay, but of course price can still go higher, but you see what kind of price action are you looking. In this case, right, we see an inside bar after an uptrend in which price is having trouble pushing towards the upside, making new highs. And after this inside bar is formed, this candle over here, what is this candle signifies? It can be an entry trigger. In this case it can be an entry trigger. Okay, like for instance, when you see this inside bar is formed, most probably at these two candles, right, you probably will have hard time finding entries. Buy no use, sell also no use. But in this case, after the end of this candle, that you can find some good price action. And what is this candle signifies, right? It's actually a false break, of the previous candle high. So if I put a level here, okay, if I put a level here, you put a level here, and you want, I mean in this case, when you see this false break, okay, because there's a lot of confluence for this to drop, there's a lot of points that we can take in this case, right? Okay, what is the significance of this false break? First, what is the confluence? Sorry. First, we have a false break of the previous daily candle high. And what does that tell us? That tells us that the buyers try to push the prices higher but failed to close above the previous high. Okay, as you see, it did try to went up, but it failed to close above the previous high, failed to close above the previous high, and failed to close above the mother bar, of course. Number two, you can see another confluence is that after the close and after that false break, right, the close is a weak close, weak buy momentum close, which means that the bias is quite exhausted. Okay, the bias is exhausted, so it adds you it gives you more confluence for you to take this sell, because right now you are taking based on the anticipation that it's going to reverse towards the downside. Okay, so is the risk reward for inside bar breakout is crazy. It's great, it's freaking great. Okay, so the more confluence there is, the better. Okay, so false break of previous daily candle high, a weak buy momentum close. Okay, what can I say about this? Oh yeah, is that number three confluence is it's not really much of a confluence. It's I would say wish you won. Okay, I would say that it's a concept. You are selling high prices. Okay, and so in this case you got momentum on your side. In this case, because of the force break and because of the weak bar momentum, and you are selling at high prices, right? The probability of your trade go into your favor is there. So when you see this inside, but there are multiple ways that you want to enter this, but the most best concept I would say, right, really, I mean, inside bar and like other setups, right, is really about practice. Okay, there are multiple ways of how you can enter this. Okay, there are multiple ways that how you can enter this. One, okay, you wait for these entry triggers that to form first. In this case, wait for the daily close. Okay, once the entry trigger is formed, then you have more conviction to go into the sell. Like for instance, when this inside bar is formed, there is no conviction except for a weak bar momentum. There is no force break of the previous daily candle high. Okay, it never even retest. In this case, there is a retest. Okay, and it was not selling at high prices. This one is at least a bit slightly higher. Okay, but you get the picture. Okay, and then so the thing is that after the end of this candle, okay, you can start to look for entry levels. So have to wait. The other way is that you wait for the breakout to happen. Okay, like in this case is the mother bar, right? This is the mother bar. Okay, this is the mother bar low. Okay, this is the mother bar high, mother bar low. Okay, mother bar open. So the best is this is the second way that you want to enter. If you miss this entry to go for a sell, you miss this down move, it's okay. So in this case, there is a confirmation breakout. Okay, confirmation breakout in this case. Breakout confirm. Okay, breakout confirm here, and then you go for look another. Then you go for into your lower time frames. Then once you see this breakout confirm, right, you can go into your lower time frames, and then as long as you mark the previous high of this candle, as long as price cannot close above this candle, your sell can materialize. All right, that's another thing. So that's how I really apply. We will get back to free key later. Okay, we'll get back to free key later and look at the number of pips if you had entered from the first level of here. Okay, you have entered from here. You have entered from here. This is the 1.80745. Eventually price went until as low as here, right? 1.75096. That is near around 500 pips. Yeah, around 500 pips. 500 pips, and that's a lot. Okay, for inside bar breakout. But you have to, from this level, when you enter, you have to wait for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 daily candles. Okay, so 6 daily candles, one candle is 24, right? So 24 times 6 is what, 144 hours before you went into your margin. Okay, if you had entered from here at 1.78, after the breakout is confirmed, you will get still relatively 200 over 300 pips. So it's still good. Okay, so it's still good. So in this case, we can see a reversal of a downtrend. Okay, so let's move on. And then as price goes down here, remember that once an inside bar breakout has happened, right, and then another inside bar is formed, right, then it will continue to bounce up and down. Don't take as an inside bar breakout and then if price just go straight away, straight line. Okay, there is a lot of weighs into how price travel. But if you are going to focus just on inside bar alone, inside bar acts as an entry trigger. It acts as a pivot point. Like in this case, it's a pivot point, a turning point in the market. Okay, don't take it as, I mean, some of my students, I mean, previously my students will take inside bar and then hunt for inside bar. We are not supposed to hunt for inside bar. Inside bar acts as a trigger. The ones that we are supposed to hunt is the trend, the general trend, and the sense of direction. That is the thing that we want to hunt. Okay, so be careful when you see inside bar setups, right? Just take it take it as what it is, and then close when you have to. Because in this case, you see we have multiple inside bar here. Inside bar breakout, price came back to that mother bar, price breakout, price came back to that mother bar, okay, and then just stays within this mother bar, and then price break out of this mother bar, and then price came back and closed below this mother bar, a fakie, and that is where the second move down happened. Okay, so in this case it's a reversal. Actually the pivot point is here, in which from this uptrend now become a downtrend, and then in the downtrend you should see an inside bar again. See this here, I mean, those that are very too near to call, right, just don't try not to take it. Okay, like for instance, this is an inside bar too. Okay, inside bar, weak bar momentum, okay, and then price breakout. So where is the point of breakout in this case? Okay, so in this case, this is where the price broke out, like this candle, and then price pull back, and then it continues. So in this case, is when this inside bar breakout happened, what happened is a continuation of this downtrend. Okay, it's a reversal from this uptrend. This is a continuation of a downtrend. Alright, so this is a continuation of a downtrend. Okay, and then we can see how prices travel down here. Okay, and then we can see here inside bar, here inside bar fakie, inside bar. So you see this is the mother bar, right? I'm going to put a label around there here. Okay, inside bar fakie, inside bar false break because it doesn't come out of the mother bar. This is the inside bar fakie here. This is the fakie. Okay, because price came out of the mother bar from here, came out of the mother bar, close above, and then get pushed back. So this is a fakie, and then when a fakie happens, usually it will go into the opposite direction. And then the most important part, right, once you see an inside bar breakout, right, it usually indicates where market want to go. Like for instance, in this case, right, once the breakout is confirmed, it indicates where market want to go. So in this case, market want to go lower, and that is okay. Inside bar breakout means that the market want to go lower. Of course it go lower here, but it can also go lower, much lower. Okay, because usually inside bar breakout, it usually indicates direction. Alright, so from here, after this inside bar breakout, right, price continue down, right, so it indicates direction that you want to go where, you want to go down in this case. So for instance here, let me see whether, okay, this is inside bar fakie. Okay, from this inside mother bar here. Okay, once price came out of that mother bar, it indicates the direction that the market want to go. Okay, here, so see, it came out, so this is the confirmation. Okay, price goes down, price pull back, price continues goes down. Okay, and you can see multiple inside bars, and given the current context of the market right now, right, a lot of inside bars are formed because the market is now very volatile. Okay, so that's the most important part of it. So right now for Euro and ZD, we can see right now is that there is an inside bar here. Okay, see, so now let's go here, reversal, and instead price is on a downtrend. Okay, and the inside bar is formed. Okay, inside bar is formed, and then what do we see? Here's the mother bar. So inside bar, price breakout of the mother bar. Okay, so knowing that, so before this inside bar forms, price is on a downtrend, so this can be a potential reversal towards the upside. Because why? There is a directional flow bias, that is where you want to go. So once the price came out of this, I mean this is the order flow in this case. Okay, the order flow of where prices want to go. So eventually when market do, see in this case it tests the top of the mother bar and then it push up, and it continues for quite some time. You can see that. Okay, from this inside bar you can see that this level is significant, continues for quite some time, only until recently, which is today, recently this week, and I already taken a sell much earlier on for Euro and ZD because of this inside bar. This is an inside bar fakey. Okay, inside bar here, you can see this inside bar. Okay, so before this inside bar is formed, price is on an uptrend. Okay, price is on an uptrend before this inside bar is formed. Price did come out of the mother bar, which indicates that it can be a continuation of a trend, but at the top of this resistance, price make another inside bar, and then this is where I see order flow. Price came out, complete inside bar breakout. So my thoughts for this is that when market go up, we want to look for a sell. Okay, when market go up, we want to look for a sell in this case. So for those who took their inside bar breakout here and never take profit, you will see that price do come back to the breakout area to retest, because you have to get liquidity to go lower. And why does it have to get liquidity to go lower? Because there is, at this area, right, there's a lot of strong bullish pressure, so it has to one way or another go up to grab some liquidity. Okay, so my initial thought is that this is going to be a drop, at least back to these levels here. Alright, back to this level at 1.66, 160, or even lower. Okay, because we can see an inside bar, because an inside bar fakey, right, and then price came out of the mother bar, right, usually tells me it's pointing towards a big move. Okay, yeah, if it happens, it happens. Okay, so that is inside bar. So I'm going to go back to my, okay, so as I said just now, what does inside bar signifies? Can be a continuation pattern or a trend reversal when we see it. Okay, so a clean inside bar breakout closing past the mother bar high or low, and the momentum continues in the direction of the breakout. That's how I demonstrate in the chart just now. So a breakout of the mother bar closing past the mother bar, but next candle closes back within the mother bar, and when that happens, we have an inside bar fakey, which I already explained in this case. Alright, this is a inside bar fakey. The fakey comes from here. Okay, this is the inside bar, the original mother bar, false break of mother bar, price push out into the inside bar breakout, but actually it's an inside bar fakey. And now the bias turned to in the downtrend. Okay, and before this inside bar, price is on an uptrend. So I anticipate that this inside bar is a pivot point for market to go lower. How low it can be here or here, I don't know. Okay, and that's it. Seriously, for inside bar, that is how it is. But how you want to apply and how you want to practice is another thing altogether. Okay, as I say, this is as I say, the more higher time frame you go, right, it's more, I would say, accurate and reliable. The more lower time frame, you can see inside bar even on the lower time frames. Okay, but it will not be as reliable as the higher time frames. Okay, like for instance, right, let me give you an example in this case. Okay, like for instance, if you look at the 4 hour, right, there's an inside bar form here, right? And when you see this inside bar breakout, if you are looking at only the 4 hour without looking at the daily, and you have taken this inside bar breakout, right, to anticipate that this is going to be a long move towards the upside, then you are actually buying you are only buying a correction here. as I see on the daily, it's a different story, right? My higher time frame is telling me that it's pointing towards the downside. So be very careful about this. Be very careful about this. So the most important aspect is still goes down back to your daily time frame, back to your higher time frames before you look into the lower time frame in this case. And and usually when I like to take pivot points, what I like to see usually when I see the candles, right? Okay, how do we know that market is going to reverse, right? The thing is, there's no confirm, there's no direct answer for this, but there can only be clues. Okay, so as for instance, right, in this case, price is moving up very healthy with good momentum candles towards the upside and inside bar breakout. But once after it reach here into a congested area of a supply zone based drop, look at the momentum increases and how the sellers are looking to make their presence felt. This is multiple tests. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests, 5 tests, 6 tests, 7 tests before it went down. How crazy is that? Very, very crazy. Okay, that will be what, 28 hours of testing. Okay, and it finally price breakout of the minor support here. In the 1 hour, this is a support. Okay, in the 4 hour, yes, this is a minor support. But in the 1 hour, you can see a breakout has happened. Okay, reach here, and this is the breakout has happened. And the sellers are in control of the market. Okay, so the more higher time frame you go, right, the more better it is will be your execution for inside bar. All right, like in this case, the 4 hour here, inside bar here forms. What is the trend previously? The trend is uptrend, right? Trend is uptrend. Okay, so if you take on this inside bar alone, just these 2 candle, and you enter a sell, right, it may or may not go your favor. It might go up in your stop loss and go down. So there are multiple ways. Or you want to wait for a breakout of the mother bar. Okay, in this case, there's a breakout here, and then wait for a retest before you enter the sell. Sorry. Like for instance, when you see an inside bar breakout here past the mother bar, right, more often than not, right, price will come back towards the broken structure. Okay, price will come back to the broken structure before continuing its wave. So now we have seen, and then the inside bar breakout continues towards the downside, the direction of the breakout, as I mentioned. Okay, so it's a pivot, it's a turning point by the market, and that generates a very huge momentum to the downside. So this up move is probably more of a correction rather than anything else. Okay, and that's what I can say. So the most important thing that I would say, as I say, when you look at inside bar, right, how you apply it is really your time frame. If you are going to attempt your inside bar, right, on the lower time frame of H1 and F15, right, while it may work, right, the reliability, right, is not as good as in a higher time frame. Like how I explained to you about that just now when Euro NZD, and just how I explained to you about Euro NZD in this case, when this breakout happens in the inside bar. Okay, when this breakout happens in this inside bar, 1.69270 breakout until nearly 100 pips. Okay, 100 pips. Then you will say it's good enough for you. Okay, but you are trading off a 4 hour in this case. You are not linking with your higher time frames, so it can be contradicting. But how you want to do it, I will leave it to you. My job here is just to share with you about how inside bar is taken and how I like it to be taken. Okay, like in this case, right, you look at this 4 hour, it is an inside bar force break. Inside bar force break into a breakout, and you will be committed to leave this until 1.73 or 1.74, and then it struck again, and then this is where you say, oh, it doesn't work. But actually, as I said, the lower time frame you go, right, the less reliability there will be on the inside bar. Okay, like even the one hour. Okay, if you see at the 1 hour in this case, Let me see, 1 hour. Okay, there's an inside bar here, right? See, this is an inside bar here on the 1 hour. 1 hour inside bar here. Price breakout of the mother bar actually in the 1 hour is a freaky. See, on the 1 hour, this is the original inside bar, mother bar, and this is where I call the coiling pattern. A coiling pattern, that means a lot of time price stay within the mother bar. Okay, and then imminent breakout will happen. Okay, imminent breakout will happen. So in this case, a breakout has happened from the 1 hour. Okay, then now price retest. Then as I said, I don't look really much on the 1 hour. Try to concentrate myself more into the higher time frames. Okay, so if you look, let's say you go for a weekly right now. Okay, let's go for a weekly right now. If you look from the weekly, price is on a downtrend here, and then price make an inside bar here, so it can be a potential reversal towards the upside, right? So if I take this on top of the mother bar, right? If I take on top of the mother bar, it seems to look like price did went out of the inside bar of the mother bar. Okay, but last week price went back in, so this is an indication that this is a setup which me and Tyler like to call, inside bar fakie with an evening star setup. Alright, so it's a very lucrative setup for this one. Okay, in which this area here it could probably be a pivot point for price to go lower. Okay, it could probably be a pivot point for price to go lower, because as I said previously, right, structure is still more leaning towards the downside, as there's no higher highs and higher lows based on this structure. On this structure, we can see that price is still on this lower high, lower low there, and then this is the lower high as well. Okay, and then lower high as well. When you see a lower high, right, it just shows that the structure overall is still downtrend, unless we can see higher lows, higher highs forming into your, in this case there is a higher lows, higher high, right? There is a higher low, higher high, correct. But in terms of price action signal, right, it's very choppy, I would say. It's very choppy, but thank God I have inside bar setups which can guide me and help me into my entries. So a lot of times I already take inside bar setups into my entry, into my analysis. So you work exactly inside bar, and it works on any kind of time frame. So you see, like for instance, gold, right? Gold is on an inside bar. Okay, gold is on an inside bar right now. Okay, so the thing is, what can we say from gold for this week? Most probably, as I say, we might probably want to stay away and see what happens right now, because if price can stay within this mother bar, that means it's a false break of the mother bar, and we can look for our buy setup next week perhaps. But for this week, there is nothing that we can take yet so far. Okay, you look at the daily right now, price is in a coiling inside bar pattern. So price that's not closed out of the mother bar yet. Before this inside bar is formed, price is on a downtrend. Okay, before this inside bar is formed, price is on a downtrend. So there are multiple things. Will price continue to go lower, or price continue to go higher? Now if we look from here, right, as I said, there's a lot of multiple things that can happen here, because I see that there is an inside bar breakout here. In terms that there is an inside bar false break, right? There's an inside bar false break here, and then price. So as I said, when the direction, inside bar breakout usually indicates direction of where the market want to go. So in this case, even though it went down, okay, my market, but at this point of time, right, it can still go up here before go down lower. So it's going to take a while before we see where you want to go. Alright, it's going to take a while where you want to go. But the this area here would be an area where there is a very big chance that price can probably retest in the near future. Okay, if price went up from here, but for now really stay out of gold first, because as we can see now, inside bar form here, inside bar false break, and then at this point, if you are going to buy in a weak bar momentum, even though there is a bullish candle, price does not close above the previous bearish candle high nor the previous open of this daily candle. So momentum is not really on your side except for this candle, because right now if the 4-hour is going to close past this, we have then in this case the momentum shift back to the sellers. So the thing is, there's no buy momentum, so I don't want. It's still the best for from the weekly in this case, right? Just stay out of gold. Okay, the best thing is stay out of gold. Okay, we have to see confirmation. We know there's an inside bar here, but something will happen here. Okay, so if price went out of this inside bar, you still have to escape this spider bar in order for this to go up. Okay, so it's in price is in a turning point. Okay, price in a turning point. You can go either direction in this case. But even from the weekly, as I say, from the weekly, there's an inside bar breakout, so indicate direction here. Okay, so a lot of indecision in the market nowadays, so you guys have to be careful on that. And that the yen inside bar breakout indicates direction, and then price came back to this inside bar here. So when price goes down, right, it does not break any support yet. Price came back to the demand. Okay, and then price push up. So in this case, price might just go down here and then go up, even though it's an inside bar fakey, but structure wise, right, it's not really downtrend yet. Yen is yen is weak. Okay, so for yen, NZD yen, I already buy it, even though from here the daily looks to be down, but we are seeing a higher low yesterday. So in this case, it's a higher low of this structure here. Okay, so price may have potential to go up at least till this or this level, and that's it. So all of you just backtest your charts in terms of how to find the inside bar. Okay, the most important aspect of the inside bar, as I say, you must have the process. Okay, so just now when I share with you, you all can rewind and then pause and then take some notes. Okay, but the most important, my advice is that still practice. Okay, my advice is still practice and then backtest. Okay, so if I want to leave you guys, is practice, backtest, higher time frames. I think that is the only thing that I can say about inside bar. Okay, I can talk a lot, but if you could not really do these three things, then it's whatever I say will not be of much use. So just practice first, okay, and based on whatever that I explained here. Okay, so all the best. So for the next topic, which is I cover next week, is more into engulfing setups. Okay, like bearish engulfing, bullish engulfing. I seldom take it, but there's something that we can learn from it also. Okay, and that's it. So I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.